He's here in Paris for the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development's annual Latin America Forum. Uruguay's Economy and Finance Minister, Gabriel Oddone. Thank you for being with us here on France.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Colombia, currently run by the left, could swing far to the right. Your reaction to that clip we saw of Gabriel Oddone sporting the national jersey there in that interview?
So there is a lot of changes coming in all the regions. So we're waiting for these changes, but we need to wait to the end of the election process.
Wait till the end of the election process. What do you make of this? You're a country that is raising taxes, that is keeping the welfare state going, and you're surrounded by what some call chainsaw economics. Looking at Argentina next door, where it's slash the public service, it's radical moves, and that seems to be the trend. Can you buck the trend? Can you do it alone? Can Uruguay be an island?
So Uruguay have a long trend in the welfare state, with a lot of power. So there is a consensus in the country about the role that they play the state to attend different types of the economy. So the only thing that we introduced last year when we received the government is to introduce some correction in fiscal terms, because we have some kind of red lines in terms of sustainability, and we introduced some small changes in taxes. But in fact, we are going to be the second country in the region to be part of the global tax in the OECD framework. So we are working just to rebuild and put in order a lot of things related with the welfare state, because we believe that the social cohesion and the reduction of inequality is crucial for the country.
Yeah, that global tax concept, just to make it clear for our viewers, it's to try to crack down on those who optimize by parking their money elsewhere. Can you do it when, for instance, in neighboring Argentina, you see Palantir's Peter Thiel saying, "I'm going," and Argentina is saying, "Great, billionaires should come here"?
Oh, well, in fact, we have here two things. The first one is the companies. They are, in fact, they are installed in Uruguay. They are already taxed in the original countries. So the only thing that we introduce, they're going to start to pay the taxes that they already pay, part of them where the matrix is in our country. So this is neutral for the companies. But the second one for the people, so we have a lot of people that they come to live to Uruguay, because not just because the tax advantage, because in Uruguay, if you have the tax citizen, you receive a lot of benefits in terms of your citizenships in the world and also the opportunities of taxes. So Uruguay is a good competitor in this business to attract investors and investments in the region. We do that for many years.
When Peter Thiel, an ultra-libertarian, when you have him endorsing the way Argentina is going, when you have a Donald Trump endorsement for candidates in the Americas, how does that make you feel? Is that the role of the President of the United States?
So, as you know, the United States is a very important country for all the region. Uruguay have a strong relation with the United States. We discuss with the members of the White House and members of the foreign affairs offices in the States with a common agenda. We have a very good relation with them. In fact, it's true that we have a vision coming from the importance of the welfare state, but also with Argentina, we have a very good relations. Despite that, we have different visions how to manage the economy. So it's not, we are partners in the most important thing, build the prosperity for the people. But it's true that in Uruguay, the government coming from the left have a strong vision to reduce inequality. This is an active policy that we want to put on the table. This is not in the region, in part of the region, something that the countries are introducing, but we believe that this is the good way, and especially because the people of the country believe that this is the good way.
Okay, so I asked you, forgive me, I'm going to ask you again about whether or not Uruguay feels lonely, because you have the elections in Colombia, but later this year there's going to be elections in neighboring Brazil, which is much closer to where you are. Again, can Uruguay buck the trend inside of Mercosur, the bloc of South American countries?
First, we never feel lonely in the region because we have a very good relation, especially with Brazil and Argentina, despite that we have different governments with different approaches. But it's true, maybe next year Uruguay is going to be or one of the few countries in the region with this vision coming from the left. But this is part of the things that we need to manage. It's normal. As I mentioned, we have an extraordinary relation with the government of Argentina, and we believe they're going to build good relation with the new government in Brazil if they change the government next year.
We talk about Mercosur. It was a heavy lift getting over the line this free trade deal with the European Union. Some say it was helped by the fact that Donald Trump is imposing tariffs and being protectionist. I don't know if that, first of all, that you want to weigh in on that?
It's true. We discussed between Mercosur and European Union for more than 20 years. And the reason why we find a solution now is because there is these changes happening in the world economy. So the European Union have new incentives to have an agreement, and the Mercosur have new incentives to have an agreement. And this is the reason why finally we find a solution and start to playing with this area. But it's important to understand that in this part of the history of the world, this agreement is not just a commercial and economic agreement. We believe, at least from Uruguay, that this is a civilization approach. So the vision, at least the government of Uruguay have, is very similar to the vision of Europe in many things. And this is the reason why we, from Uruguay, believe that this agreement is crucial. Just
civilizational, explain.
Absolutely. So the vision of how to manage the economy, how to regulate the economy, how to regulate the markets, how to combine the policies between private sector and public sector, we have a common vision from many countries of Europe.
So Uruguay is closer to Europe than it is to the United States in that regard?
In cultural terms, for many things, that is true. The principal influential in the culture and the politics in the Atlantic Ocean are more closely to Europe than in the Pacific Ocean, that they look historically to the US. So, but Uruguay, in particular, Uruguay have a strong vision common with France, in particular, in politics and culture and in different ways of the society.
And yet, some of the stiffest resistance to that EU-Mercosur deal came from right here in France, particularly from farmers. So let me ask you, now that the deal's been signed, they were particularly worried about sanitary norms and the such. How's it going in particular, the beef sector, the livestock sector, where Uruguay is one of the leaders?
So we believe that this is a challenge for all the agricultural sector, not just for Europe, also for our country, because at the end of the day, Uruguay have a strong market in Brazil, selling their oil, cheese, and milk. So the French producers are going to be very good competitors of us in the market of Brazil. So the challenge is for everybody, but for us, for the beef sector, is going to be an extraordinary opportunity. Also,
have you started exporting beef to France and to Europe?
Well, to Europe, I don't have the exact number to France, but last year. Almost the export from Uruguay to the European Union is around $1.8 billion, and half of this, then a third part of this is beef. So, and this is moved to Europe. So we believe that we have an extraordinary opportunity in beef and also in rice, when Uruguay is a leader in the world exporting rice. So we believe that at the end of the day, when we look this. In the next 10 years, we are going to find that this is a very good agreement for the both parties. Of course, during the transition, we are going to manage some kind of problem, but the government are prepared to manage this.
Those difficulties, yeah, you were mentioning. Before we go, Gabriel Oddone, I don't know if you've heard, but there's a World Cup that's about to begin.
Whoa.
And I wanted to ask you, as an economist, explain to us how a nation of 3.4 million boxes above its weight level consistently. The fact that Uruguay is qualified, even if it is 48 teams this time, is no surprise to anyone. You're the favorites along Spain in that group. Why does Uruguay do so well at football?
Two explanations. One is technical. I believe it's technical. In Uruguay, it's impossible to a very good player lost it for the system. So the capacity of the system to capture very good players in all the levels of the competition is extraordinary. because everybody plays football and there's a lot of
But
people.
everybody plays football in Brazil and Argentina too.
Yes, but in Uruguay we search permanent. And again, and also the second explanation is for us, this is 3 million people. So for us, is the most important proud the country have. So every game for us is like a battle because it's normal. We are a very small country. We don't have any war or things like this with two big countries around to us. So the most important place where we put all the energy, all the effort that we have is in soccer and football, and this is the reason why we are very good players. And we fight every time. This is the principal reason. We wait, and we fight every time. Well, we have all results across the history.
And a prediction?
No, we are going to be. I believe. I'm cautious now. We believe that we're going to pass the first round, but after that we need to see.
All right. Gabriel Oddone, so many thanks for joining us here on France.
Thank you very much for your interview.